So, Dr. J, if I know I have a big purchase coming up, like a car or a house or a big trip that I want to go on, how can I plan in advance to start saving for one of those purchases?
Yeah, let's talk about the car one for a second. So I used to be bad about this. Okay. I used to turn in my cars, get a new payment every time, and I'd be like, my payment's the same. I'm good. But what you don't realize is you're tacking on all of this extra equity, or they call it negative equity and all, where now I owe more than the car's worth, and you get stuck in this cycle to a point where you're like, now the car owns you. Well, the flip side of this is we can plan for that. So you do not have to drive your car into the ground. Are you one of those, Katie, or do you want a new car?
I have always been in drive it into the ground. So I had my first car that I purchased was a brand new 2001 Honda Civic, and I owned that for I think 16 years. And then I got another Honda Civic, and then drove that one into the ground as well. So those have been kind of my two cars.
Yep. So we're going to do somewhere in between. Okay. If the wheels are falling off, you probably went a little far. Okay. So how long you think those cars last you?
Those lasted me a long time. Like I think they both lasted me at least 10 years.
Okay. Let's use 10 years as a number. So if on average you're getting 10 years of use out of your car, um, cars nowadays, $30,000, $40,000 is kind of where cars are at, unfortunately. So I need three to $4,000 a year put aside for the car. So what I can do is, rather than paying a car payment to the loan, I just put $300-$400 a month towards my car fund. Now that takes a little bit of good behavior, which we're not all great at, because you're gonna like, ooh, I have $20,000 in my account. Well, that's for your car, It's like, so sometimes what I do with people on that is have your paycheck direct deposit to an account that you don't see. It's there when you need it, but just drop it off over there. So one of the things to do with big purchase, start with how much do I need over what period of time? So we took a car over 10 years. Now, I'd probably encourage you more like 7, but close enough. You want to run your car to 10, go right ahead. Um, by the way, if you ever really want your car to feel new, just get it detailed. It's actually cheaper than buying a new car. Like some people are like, hey, I got to buy a new car. No, just have it cleaned. Now, how about houses? So that down payment's big. And we have another video on how do you know when you're ready to buy a house. My goal for you is to have a 3 to 6 months emergency fund, be out of debt, and put down 20% on a house. So on a $300,000 house, that's $60,000.
I feel like plus then there's always like the closing fees and like the extra costs, the moving costs that you don't think about on top of what you need for the down payment. That's the one that has surprised me both times we bought a house.
Yeah, by the way, just general rule, 1 to 2% of the house on top of that down payment. So, okay, so I need $60,000, $65,000, $70,000 to buy my $300,000 house. 2 ways we can do this. We can do it like the car, split it over a certain amount of years, do months. Or now we're trying to push it as a goal. So as soon as we get $60,000, we can go buy a house. If that's a priority for you, cool. What you're going to do there is, when you start looking at your budget, the question is, do I want to buy this thing on Amazon or do I want a house? That's kind of a little different thought process than my car will eventually run out. So we're testing this. And by the way, you might want to buy that thing on Amazon because you really do. For those who haven't seen it before, I've got an Amazon problem. All right. That's just me. I'm just getting there. So you want to be comparing that as a goal. But here's the thing. Just like when you're getting out of debt, you want to have it as a goal, not as what's left over. If I'm like, oh, whatever we have left over the month, we'll go towards our house fund, we're going to make no progress. So you really want to be crazy and say, okay, over the next year, I want to save $60,000 for a house. Well, I got to put $5,000 a month towards it. By the way, that's really hard. All right. You might be taking up a second job and, eating rice and beans or ramen noodles to get there, but you're working towards a goal. Same goes for travel. Oh, I want to travel. Well, see, the thing with travel is, the question is, for what budget? People go, I want to do 2 trips. Cool. Are you Camping or are we going 5-star hotels? Okay, I mean, those are two different trips. Are you staying in the US or are you going international? Where you can start setting these goals. But the point is, you have to have a big enough goal that it's worth it. So, for example, and this is a terrible example, but my long-term goal when I retire is I'm going to get on a boat and travel the world. That is millions of dollars. I might not get there, okay, but I'm going to try. I'm saving over the next 15 years for that. I know how much per year I have to save, and I'm investing that and what the returns are and all that to get there. Now, by the way, that's not a good enough goal to stop me to buy an Amazon. Yeah, I got a picture of my boat on my screen. I know what it is. I know what model it is. I know what, but it doesn't stop me on Amazon because it's too far away. And that's one of those balances of your big purchases. My 15-year goals is kind of like, I hope I get there. My 1-year goal to buy a house is like, I am doing everything I can to get there. So what's your goal right now, Katie? You got anything jumping out at you?
Well, I am actually in a place where I would like to start traveling more. I have not been able to afford to take many trips in my life, and so I am wanting that to be a priority over the next few years.
So how much do you think you're going to spend in travel?
Um, I would say that because I want to travel internationally, I would probably need, I don't know, maybe like 5 grand if I want to do like a trip to Europe or something for a couple weeks.
Yeah, you're probably closer to 10, but that's just because I've priced some of those out. Um, but here's the thing. So we've talked about budgeting and other things, and one of the areas that you mentioned and others do is dining out. So the question is, do I want the trip to Europe or do I want to dine out? Which one would win for you, Katie?
Ooh, it depends on the day. I think it depends on like how realistic does it seem that I can get, because I think for you, you're saying like your goal is 15 years out, so it feels far away. For me, saving 5 extra grand feels quite a bit far away. So if it's like a couple years out, I don't know. It depends on the day, to be honest.
All right, Katie, I'm going to challenge you. So if you think 5, 6 grand will get you there, and by the way, all depends on your level of travel. I mean, you can do trips on any budget you want. So if you save $500 a month, you could do that trip in a year. Is that what you want?
Yeah, I mean, that would be nice.
Okay, so that's a great example. You said that's be nice. Well, here's the thing. I'm willing to bet you're spending more than $500 a month on dining out and alcohol or whatever else or other habits. We all have them. I'm not judging you. That's everybody. So what happens is now that Europe trip is possible if you give up something now, or it's a pipe dream if you don't. So here's the way you look at it. Difference between a dream and a goal. A dream, oh, I'd like this to happen. A goal is a dream with a deadline and a plan. $500 a month gets you that Europe trip in a year. You know what? If you really want to do that, you could work Uber and make $500 a month and have that Europe trip. My point is, we often put these things off like, oh, it's ginormous. No, I can do it. I just have to change my money behaviors.